Hello, this is Jane from On the Pond with Dick and Jane. And Dick is over there, as you can see, busy at work removing the tarps. We laid them down maybe about 3 weeks ago to kill off the grass. We wanted to use this area for gardening, and we're about to lay down a cover crop of Kodiak Brown Mustard seed, sort of a fumigator to get rid of some of the cutworms and some of the other pests that we have noticed in our fall garden. And so we'll let this grow throughout the winter and then cut it and till it into the ground. So this has been part of our method of killing the grass. And we don't have the silage tarps, I think is what you call it. And we just used our own tarps. And it's funny that the different colors depend on how good of a job that it does. I think our blue tarp lets in a lot more sunlight, and so there'll be a lot more grass still underneath there, even though they've been covered for about 3 weeks or so.
What we've discovered is the tracks from our mini excavator we call Digger, which I'll pull out in a bit, will eat the sod off the top of the dry ground really easily. So we're going to go ahead and finish the whole area that we intend to garden, but we're going to use our excavator, mini excavator's tracks, to get the sod up. Now we're not going to dig, we're just going to scrape it off the top. Then we're going to take it all down, or scrape it all off with some hard rakes and put down some mustard seed. And we're going to let that grow, and then come early spring or whatever, then we're going to mow that down, and then we're going to tarp it again, probably using an actual silage tarp by then. And then before we do our spring planting. So let's see how this goes.
So we're measuring out 40-foot space to put to have for our cover crop. Do we know 40 by what?
So what we're going to do for today is we're just going to get this area right over here. So about 21 foot, that's how long the greenhouse is. So let's do 40 foot off the other corner and just kind of eyeball it. We're not going to worry about making it square until we worry about putting in the fence, which the fence is going to be obviously beyond this area here. So let's take it over here. Something around in here is ought to be good enough. We're just trying to get a rough estimate of where our rectangle is going to be for our garden. This was going to be my wood lot, but we don't need this much space. We're going to go that way with it. We need more sunlight space.
Yes. Sunlight's a premium here.
So let's just go with that.
Enough, right?
Good enough. Yeah, like I said, we're not putting up a building. We're just going to get some dirt ready, try to start working on getting this area ready for planting in the spring. That's the plan. This area over here is our best sun. You can see the trees in the background. We get a lot of afternoon shade. And over here, so we're kind of a keyhole cut out into a forest. So we got to optimize as much sun as we can, so we only have a strip of about 100, 120, maybe 120 feet. And I'm trying to save some of that for my sawmill. That's one of the flatter areas.
looked like you were ice skating out there.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. So the idea, you can see how it's scraped off the top of the sod. And this is really a cheat, right? So you think, okay, well, I'm also packing it down because of this heavy piece of equipment. We're not going to plant right away. So the idea is to loosen up the top of the soil enough that we can get some of that brown mustard seed going in there as a cover crop. And we'll let that set in there over the winter. And then we'll tarp it all and see how it comes out in the springtime, and see if we determine, we'll tarp it in the spring to kind of kill off the rest of it through a process called occultation. And so I think I said that right anyway. And so we'll do that and then start working on that bed. We know we've got a lot of work to do. So I wasn't too worried about packing the ground with this because hopefully the root systems and stuff like that, because this will be pretty loose once we rake the top of this and we get all that sod off of it. It's going to have some loose dirt on top. So what we might do, I'll see how it is in a minute, but what we might do is kind of let those clumps and all kind of sit out in the sun and dry, and then come back to it later today and rake it in, because we've got about a week of looks like another dry week ahead of us. And so so we can let that kind of like dry and crumble up, and then rake all that sod, whatever's left in there, out of it. And then broadcast some mustard seed in that whole area to hopefully let that grow enough, and then enough that, and then I guess it'll die off over the winter, and then we'll come back and tarp that whole area in the spring before we start planting. That's the plan.
All right. Love it.
So we're cheating. Because I'm going to put down some brown mustard seed. And now this is going to be used as a cover crop. We don't expect it to get to full maturation, but it should be good down to about 26 degrees. And so by then, hopefully we get a few inches of growth, and then the winter will kill it, and then we're going to tarp it, and then come back in the spring, and then we'll see what we got to deal with. So that's the plan. Now what this is a biofumigation process. So it's going to kill nematodes and other pests that might be in the soil. So hopefully give this soil a leg up when we finally start gardening in here. Because we're gonna garden in the soil. We're not going to build raised beds or anything like that. So that's the plan. We'll see how it goes. I ordered too much seed. We got about 840 square foot right there. They said to put this down to about a half a pound per 1,000 square foot. So we're going to put it down a little heavy, and again, you don't eat this. It's too hot to eat, and it might even be too hot for like deer and other animals like that to eat. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to broadcast it just by hand. A spreader, I think the seed's too fine for the spreader. So anyway, got it from Haas, and we'll see how it goes. So that's what the seed looks like. It looks, it's really small, and so I want to say it almost looks pelletized. I don't really know. I've never seen this seed before, but yeah, we're going to put it down. Just broadcast it around, and I'm going to be generous with it. And we have some other spots around the garden. We've had bad pest issues with cutworms killing our brassicas, and so let's see if we can make this work. Make it do something for it. I'll rake it in lightly. Let's see if that helps it put some good contact. Spread it out a little bit better. Very highly calibrated broadcast spreader here. Not going to bury it where it can't germinate. check back in a couple weeks, see how we did.